All right, today we are diving into something truly epic 5,000 years of history for a civilization that isn't just one single story. It's more like this endless cycle of reinvention, of rebirth. From these ancient, mysterious megacities all the way to modern democracy, we're going to uncover the threads of resilience that really define India's incredible tale. This quote right here, it just nails it. We're not just looking at a list of dates and empires. We're talking about a cultural and philosophical identity that has just kept going for millennia. It's this eternal idea that we're going to trace through everything: invasions, golden ages, and full-blown revolutions.
So, where do you even begin a story that's 5,000 years long? Well, we have to go way, way back. Long before many of the ancient civilizations we learn about in school, to a river valley where one of humanity's first great urban societies really took root.
Okay, just try to wrap your head around this. While the pyramids were still being built over in Egypt, you had cities like Mohenjo-Daro that had already figured out advanced drainage systems and were running trade networks. But here's the thing, their story ends in a total mystery. Around 1300 BCE, this incredibly advanced civilization just faded away. Maybe it was climate change, maybe an invasion. Nobody knows for sure. They left behind this fascinating puzzle for us to solve.
This timeline here is basically our roadmap for the first few thousand years. After the Indus Valley, we get the Vedic Age, which really laid the philosophical groundwork for so much of Indian culture. Then came the great unifying empires, the Mauryans and the Guptas. So let's start with the ideas that came out of that Vedic Age.
The Vedic Age, which kicked off around 1500 BCE, wasn't just about new groups of people. It was about huge new ideas. Concepts like karma, reincarnation, and this big one, dharma, were born. Now, dharma isn't just a list of rules. It's this deep philosophical idea about finding your place and your purpose in the entire universe, a concept that still resonates so powerfully in India today.
Okay, so with these massive ideas in place, the stage was set for a whole new era. We're talking grand empires that would unite the subcontinent for the very first time and kick off a period of just unbelievable innovation and cultural brilliance. So after Alexander the Great's armies turned back, there was this huge power vacuum, and it was filled by this brilliant warrior, Chandragupta Maurya. He's the one who established the first real Indian empire. But it was actually his grandson, Ashoka, who would become its most legendary figure, though not for the reasons you might think.
At first, Ashoka was a totally ruthless conqueror, but after seeing the absolute horror of one particularly brutal war, he had this profound, life-altering change of heart. He embraced Buddhism and dedicated the rest of his rule to peace and morality. He even had his new principles carved onto stone pillars all across the empire, spreading this message of compassion that was just revolutionary for its time.
Fast forward a few centuries, and the Gupta Empire kicks off what's often called India's Golden Age. And this list right here shows you why. I mean, come on, Indian mathematicians gave the world the concept of zero. Zero! That's a breakthrough that is literally the bedrock of all modern math and computers. It was an era of peace where science and art just exploded, making India a global beacon of achievement.
You see, the story of India is one of constant change and evolution. The next major chapter started with new influences arriving from Central Asia and Persia. And they didn't erase the old culture, instead they fused with it, creating something entirely new and honestly breathtakingly beautiful. Starting with the Delhi Sultanate, and then perfected under the Mughals, this incredible cultural synthesis happened. This wasn't just a conquest, it was like a conversation between cultures. You had rulers like Akbar the Great, who actively promoted religious tolerance, and that fostered this unique Indo-Islamic civilization that gave us amazing new art, music, and language. And of course, nothing symbolizes this era better than the Taj Mahal. I mean, what can you even say? Built by Emperor Shah Jahan as this incredible monument of love for his wife, it is the absolute pinnacle of Mughal architecture. It blends Persian, Islamic, and Indian styles into one of the most recognized and beloved buildings in the entire world. But then, a new set of ships appeared on the horizon. The arrival of European traders marked another dramatic turning point. What started as a hunt for spices and goods slowly, but surely, turned into a struggle for control. And that ushered in a really complex and often painful period of colonial rule. The legacy of the British Raj is, well, it's deeply contradictory. On the one hand, yes, the British built railways and set up a modern administrative system. But all of that came at a massive cost. We're talking about economic exploitation that led to horrible famines, and of course a complete loss of sovereignty for the Indian people.
But out of this period of domination, this incredible movement for freedom began to rise, led by a man who had challenged the might of an entire empire, not with weapons, but with the sheer force of an idea.
And this is the idea, the one that changed the world. Mahatma Gandhi took this ancient Indian principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence, and he turned it into a revolutionary political strategy. He made the argument that moral force could be way more powerful than physical force, a concept that would go on to inspire civil rights movements all over the globe.
So how did he do it? How did it work? Well, it was through these incredible acts of civil disobedience, like the famous Salt March. He encouraged boycotts of British goods, and in doing so, he mobilized millions of ordinary Indians. He showed them they could peacefully resist an entire empire and expose its moral weak spots for the whole world to see.
And in the end, the struggle was successful. In 1947, India finally won its freedom. But this incredible moment of triumph will be forever scarred by the tragedy of partition. It divided the subcontinent, and it led to one of the largest and most painful mass migrations in all of human history.
From the ashes of empire and partition, a brand new India was born. A secular, democratic republic, ready to write the next chapter of its very long and very complex story.
Just look at that number. It's almost hard to comprehend. Modern India isn't just a country, it's practically a continent of diversity. It is the world's largest democracy, a nation of over 1 billion people speaking hundreds of languages, all taking part in this single, vibrant, and, sometimes chaotic political experiment. That whole democratic experiment is anchored by a constitution that promised liberty and justice for all. And in the decades since, even with huge challenges, India has worked to make good on that promise. It's transformed from an exploited colony into a nation that launches missions to the moon, powers the global tech industry, and captivates the entire world with its amazing film industry. Which brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? India's story is one of endless rebirth. From ancient cities to golden ages, from colonial shadows to democratic dawns, it has constantly remade itself. So the final question isn't really about what India was, but what it's becoming. A civilization of 1 billion voices, writing its next chapter as we speak.